Okay, so we hear all about those component libraries that save a lot of time, like ShatCN and Drizzle. They're great, but I've always wondered, how does it feel to build something from scratch without using libraries or frameworks? In this video, I built a simple Instagram clone to answer this question. The rules are very simple. There are no npm installs, that includes Tailwind, no third-party packages. Also, we can't connect to a remote database since that requires installing additional packages, which obviously we can do. However, server actions are allowed, as well as custom hooks in case we use client components, so I can implement my own custom React hook or use the ones that are built in. As I said earlier, I'll be building a simple social media app similar to Instagram, but without extra dependencies. To kick things off, I'll create a Next.js project in TypeScript without Tailwind, just plain CSS and CSS modules as well. After that, I'll open my project in VS Code and delete all the predefined classes and styles so I can style it towards the end of this project. For now, I'll add a CSS reset that removes all the extra margin and padding. Next, it's time to create a JSON schema for our quote-unquote database. I say that because, well, it's not a database. It's just a JSON file with our app data and schema attached to it. Our schema consists of users, posts, and comments. All of them are arrays of objects. Each and every object has a unique set of properties. For example, our post will require an image and a body as well as info about the user who made that post. After we finish the schema, all we have to do is to link it. And we're not getting IntelliSense. No worries, ChatGPT to the rescue. It turns out that I made a mistake in the schema when I referenced objects in the same file. It also suggested that I use a draft template as a helper as a schema. Now it works! We can start inserting some mock user data until we connect it to our front end. Now it's time to authenticate our application. First, I created a route group for auth using my extension Project Explorer, available in the extension store in VS Code. And also, inside I created this a login page. Right now it's just very basic email, username, and password authentication, the former of them being optional. Same thing here for signing up. From there I just moved on to creating server actions to handle authentications. For the sign up I just did a console log to make sure it's working. I'll just hook it up to my sign up form and nothing. I spent some time debugging, but my dumbass realized that server actions run on the server from their name. So I went to my VS Code terminal and voila, there's the console log message. For the login, I collected some form data and did some array.find magic to check the validity of the user, if the user is stored in the array or not. Then I used a UUID the crypto library to generate a token to log the user in. Yeah. When I was writing this code, I realized that server actions have no access to the local storage object or any window functions for that matter. So let's send all our local storage client side in a useEffect hook. We can get our form data using useActionState. Basic validation works. It checks for existing users as expected. I realized I could offload this part of the app to the server by storing the user as a cookie, but more on that later because our user was not being saved to the database yet. There's no file manipulation, so let's just work on that. We can just generate some Node.js code using Codium. I'm not sponsored by them, I just use their stuff. Now we create a constant for the file path, so it's going to be a string, and it still didn't save. So I spent hours and hours trying to solve the problem using various methods. However, it was actually saving in the root folder, not our data folder. So the way this file system module in Node.js works is that basically the // corresponds to the root folder of the project of the working directory in VS Code. So I added a relative location like this, src/media /data. Before I knew it, I was able to save our data to the file. Now it's time to create a post. So I went and created a server action for it first, then the function. Now everything worked fine except the part where I needed to save an image. It was actually a roller coaster, to put it mildly. It turns out I saved the image as its name, so the file got corrupted obviously because the data was just a simple file with the name of the file itself with no buffer. And then there's also a limitation in Next.js where the local images that you can load in your application only from the public folder. So yeah, not ideal. I moved everything to the public folder, and yeah, this is a win considering what little we have to work with. I also added the ability to like a post, which was pretty simple and straightforward because we don't have any complex relationships between the data. We're almost done. We just need to create a server action for comments and fetch them all. Now all that's left to do is to add styles to this application. I'm not gonna bore you with the details, not gonna make you watch my less than mediocre CSS skills here, so I'll just show you the final result. And here is my wonderful, beautifully styled Vanillagram application without third-party NPM packages or Tailwind. Alright, so let's start by logging in first. I already have a username and password saved, so I'm going to click login. As you can see, it logs us in successfully. Now you can see this is it's quite empty because, well, we haven't posted anything yet. So you can click on create post. In the body, you'd say having a nice day. And then we're just going to select a file here. There you go. And then as you can see, if we click create, there it is. You have username and a caption. Oh wow. Wow, okay. Didn't realize I made a typo here, but whatever. You might be wondering, how do I know my username? Well, I made a very intuitive choice of creative decision to actually do it when you hover on the logout button. Yay! Alright, but for real though, let's go ahead and log out and log back in as a new user. So we're gonna click on this button to create a new account. Now for the email, we can put in whatever we want. So see jojo@vanilla.com. Sorry, okay. And then username, we can say Jojo. Here, Jojo1234. These are saved in a local file, by the way, so you don't have to worry about hacking me. Hahaha. Bad day for hackers. Anyway, let's go ahead and just put in wonderful and click send, or I can just hit enter. And there it is. Here is my comment. I can also like as much as I want. And even as an OP, like I can like my own post that I created on my account, which sounds weird, but anyway, you know, for all intents and purposes, this should work just fine. So yeah, here is my Vanillagram social media application. I have to say, I learned a lot about Next.js during the process. It wasn't as bad as I thought. Oh, except for caching, that's a different story. Despite all of that, it has a huge ecosystem behind it. More often than not, we take this ecosystem for granted, so I wanted to see how Next.js plays out on its own without any extra magic. I also added a working middleware, finally, with redirecting the user by checking the cookie. Also, Vercel, please fix Next.js. Please, I'm begging you. I'm practically on my knees. Please, please.